Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the next video on rates. And now, yesterday we talked about how to find the unit rate. One of something per something else. So, the shots per game. Every one game has 10 shots. If you had 50 shots for 5 games, well, that's great, but if you don't know how much shots it is per game, it's hard to use that data and extend it out. And so, whether it's calories per box, or whether it's miles per hour, or gallons per miles per gallon, all of these things, once you find the unit rate, that 1 per, that helps you out. Okay, and so we're going to continue that today, but try to use it to help converting between rates. So an example of that is this problem that's here below. And you might need a calculator for this. It might be helpful. If you're at a computer, it's in the accessories file there, or you could borrow one from your parents, or if you need one, you could probably just do it on pencil and paper if you needed. So the math message today is it's estimated that an average person in the United States lives for about 75 years. Okay, do you know how many days that would be? How can you figure that out? Do you know how many hours that would be? How can you figure that out? We'll come back to that. Okay, well, we know that 1 year is worth how many days? 365. So for 75 years, if we knew the unit, now it's easy. We're going forward on our rate table, and if we go forward, do we multiply or divide? We multiply. So 1 times 75 gives us 75. So 365 times 75 would give us 27,375. Check the math, see if it's right. Okay, so how many days does a person usually live? Well, they live 27,375 days. You better take advantage of today. You only have so many. Okay? But how many hours are there? Well, do we know how many hours are in 75 years? Not really. But if we break it down, it's easier. We know how many days. Do you know how many hours in a day? I hope you do. Take a guess at how you think you solved that. Pause it and do it. All right. Well, I hope you did. This number times there's 24 days or hours in a day, so that times 24 would give you 657,000 hours. Okay, not that many hours. Okay, let's do this in our head now. 1 bag of oranges has 7 oranges in it. So how many would 5 bags have? How many would 8 bags have? How many would 11 bags have? Well, 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 11 is 77. How many bags would be 49? Well, now we're going opposite. We know 49 oranges in a bag. There's 7 oranges in one. So we're going backwards. We're dividing. 49 divided by 7 is 7. Moving forward, why don't you try these? 13 olives in 1 jar and 3 jars. You'd have 39. Do the other two. Okay. What about how many times 65? How many times does 13 go into 65? Use the data up here to help you. I want to say it's 5, but I'm going to check. Nailed it. All right. What about these? 1 batch of cookies contains 3.5 ounces of nuts. So in 4 batches, 3.5 times 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Half times 4 is 2. So 12 plus 2 is 14. Try these two. Okay. What about how many batches contain 35 ounces of nuts? Try that. That was 10. Alright, so in this lesson, we are going to examine the data of an estimated number of times on average a person does something. We're going to convert those rates into smaller rates and smaller rates and smaller rates to make it where you're able to check it and you're able to make it more easily understandable. So, for this one, an average person in an average lifetime, a person sleeps 214,000 hours. Well, do you know off the top of your head how much you've slept in your lifetime? I don't think so. And so, how can we figure out that's right? We got the information from somewhere. We don't know exactly if it's right or not. Someone could be telling us a lie. So we got to try to figure out how can we figure that out. How do you think the information might have been found? Do you think someone watched somebody else for an entire life and counted up how many hours? I don't. So how do you think it's been found? Okay, it is more likely that people actually keep track of how long they sleep each night of their lives. Do you know how much you sleep every night? Mr. Peralta got about 7.5 hours last night. Okay, so do you know how many hours you slept last night? It's more likely that people are observed for a short period of time, and that information is used to estimate over a lifetime. So, if Mr. Peralta slept 8 hours a day, over how many days over the year, over how many years I live, that would probably be a better way of doing it. Okay, this information can be found in the student reference book, but just because it's in a book doesn't mean it's right. Okay, you need to double check these things. You can't just take stuff for face value. So reference books can sometimes be misleading or wrong, or old. You know, a lot of times we find now that books can be outdated. How can we check to see whether this number makes sense? Would the numbers be easier to understand if you calculated how many hours a person sleeps in a year? How do you think you do that? Write that down here. How do you think we can figure out how much somebody sleeps in a year? How could we figure out how much somebody sleeps per night? Okay, so we're going to work with a partner once we get in here tomorrow to do that. But you're going to have to figure out, does it make sense that if someone lives for an average 75 years, if that's how many hours? You're going to have to tell me yes or no. You're going to have to back it up with numbers. Okay, so we're going to do this, but we're going to practice it out here. Now these are how many facers in the cube, how many edges. Hopefully you got that. What's the volume here? It would be 45. 9 times 5 times 1. Area, perimeter, volume. Which one? There you go. These, which ones are bigger or smaller? Make sure they make sense. Factors. This is one that we don't spend a lot of time on, but we really should. 1 times 55 is a factor. You can't multiply 2 by something. We could do 11 times 5, and I think that's it. So these would be the factors of it. Okay? Anything else times each other give you 55? This would be 1 and 32. Could be 8 and 4. Could be 2 times 16. Would all be factors for that. Try 96. This one, right at the nearest hundredth. We did this yesterday. A lot of people had trouble remembering what the hundredth is. Make sure you understand why. That's the hundredth spot. Okay, this is the one I want you to focus on. Okay, a mole can dig a tunnel 300 feet long in one night. How far could a mole dig in a week? So you could make up your own rate table. So let's look at that. Okay, we have feet and we got days. We could do that. So we know sorry guys. So I'm going to make up my own rate table. It makes it a whole lot easier to look at it. So I know in one night, in one day, I should have said night, it's 300 feet. Now, this is my unit price. This is great. We want to have the unit price because once we do, it's very easy to figure out, well, in 1 week is how many days? 7 days. Now, we do have week and we have night, and those are different values. We need to make them so they're the same value. You can't compare apples and oranges. So you can't compare weeks and nights, but you can make them all one if you can convert it. So 1 week is the same as 7 days. We've converted it. Now we're going forward on our rate table, and if we go forward, we multiply. So 300 times 7 will give me 2,100 feet. Okay, I hope you guys write that down. I hope that makes sense of how we can do that. How about this one? An elephant may eat 500 pounds of hay and drink 60 gallons of water in 1 day. We have two different rates here. We have 500 pounds in 1 day, and we have 600 gallons in 1 day. So about how many pounds of hay could an elephant eat in a week? Well, try it up here. How many gallons could they drink in 1 week? Well, if you drew your rate tables out, which I hope you did in your writing here, okay, you would know that there are 500 times 7, it would be 3,500 pounds. But this one, 60 times 7, 6 times 7 is 42. So 60 times 7 would be 420 gallons. Okay? Try these on your own. Pause it and try it. Pause these and try it. Number 5, And these I hope you're able to do. I'm not going to check you out. All right, guys. We'll check how you do tomorrow. Thanks.